We're going to start with my colleague on the Shadow front bench, Abena Oppong-Asare, who is the Shadow Exchequer Secretary. And I'm really pleased that Abena's been able to join us today, who I know has got a deep passion on the climate and climate issues and is leading our work around tax and economic policy. So over to you, Abena.
Hi, thank you, Alex. Can I just say I'm very impressed you pronounced my name right. I know you can. Can you hear me, everybody? That's good. So my name is Abena Oppong-Asare. I'm the MP for Erith and Thamesmead, and as Alex just mentioned, I'm the Shadow Exchequer Secretary in the Shadow Treasury team. I'm pleased to be here to talk about essentially the budget, what we're doing at the moment, and I just really wanted to say that I think what we do need to see from the government in particular is more needs to be done to meet our net zero commitments and to ensure that there is a just transition that essentially creates jobs right across the country. Last week when was the budget announcement, as most of you, all of you will know, and I'm afraid that we didn't see in the budget from the Chancellor anything really about a green recovery package. We all know that this is a critical moment, both for the climate emergency and also the possibility of jobs-led recovery. I see it in the emails that I get from constituents on a regular basis, and also through various stakeholders who I've been meeting, who have been talking about the green recovery and what businesses could be doing to play their role in that as well. We do need to see from the government, we do really need to see a budget that recognises and does come up with a stimulus and a plan to meet the challenges we do face, particularly as we are emerging out of the COVID, doing our recovery following COVID. One of the things I am concerned about is at the moment, the government has actually cut £500,000 of, I'd say, capital investment from their plans for the coming year. So the Greens Homes Grant, which was a flagship programme of the Chancellor's statement last year, has disappeared completely. And that's after more than 75% of its funding was cut. As a party, what Labour has done, one of the things that we are pushing for and through our recommendations is the 30 billion green economic recovery, which would create 400,000 jobs in clean industries. And this is really what we feel is a scale of ambition that is really needed across the country to be able to move forward in terms of having meeting our net zero targets. And so from investing in electric battery development and green energy, green steel technology, this will help secure essentially what we see as long-term future for our manufacturing industry, to invest in offshore wind, to create jobs in coastal communities. There's been a lot of discussion about this, and as a party, we feel very strongly this would help deliver net zero transition and help create the opportunities that we do need across the country. Before I'll turn to some of the specifics in the budget, it's important that I welcome the fact that there is a national infrastructure bank. This is something that, as Labour, we've been calling for some time. But what it does do is it does replace the Green Infrastructure Bank, which the government scrapped in 2017. And according to the OBR, the new bank will essentially provide less than half the funding we used to receive from the European Investment Bank. And so that is kind of a concern in my eyes. The Committee on Climate Change have also told us the finance for low carbon investments will essentially need to grow from around 10 billion a year in 2020 to 15 billion by 2030, a year by 2030. So in this context, what that means, the initial capitalization of the new bank is far too low. So really, it needs to be about 20 billion at a bare minimum over the next 4 or 5 years. This is what the Committee on Climate Change has said. This is not just what this isn't just a figure that's been plucked by from the Labour Party. I think it's really important to highlight that we do need clarity from the government that the bank will have a watertight net zero mandate that can be used to fund high emitting projects. And also on the Green Homes Grant, it's clear, unfortunately, that we will not meet our net zero targets if we don't grasp the heating and insulation challenge. So we do, one of the recommendations is that we do need to see the government set out a clear replacement plan to insulate the nation's homes and provide more good jobs and processes. I just want to say also, because I know that you've got a tight schedule and I'm very keen to stick to my time, and I can see Alex looking at me intently. I just want to finish by saying I do think that climate change and the path to net zero, as I've said already, was absent in the budget. It's extremely disappointing because as Labour, we feel that our economic recovery from COVID and our transition to net zero must go hand in hand. And this is from conversations that I've had with various stakeholders and businesses who have also said the same to me about that. And so I just want to say the budget was obviously, for me, a clear opportunity for us to kind of have that set out. So I do hope that the government does come up with something better in months to come. And I'm going to stop there.
Muted. Thanks, Abena. That was great.